Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm just gonna be winding down. I had a 10-hour stream with some breaks in between, but it was still pretty exhausting trying to spend a whole day writing practice test questions. I don't even really have the presence of mind to really properly wind down. Like gather my wits and plan my next steps. I just want to wind down and I just want to kind of keep myself relaxed and get ready to sleep. So I was gonna just pop open my iPad and and lie down, but I decided why not just stream it. It's been a long time since I've streamed myself reading. Alina, what's up? You're gonna hear some background noise because I had to open my window for circulation reasons. So just please don't mind. And hopefully nothing amazing happens during the stream so that so that it's not ruined in future clips. Uh, so that's me. All right. Well, I already started reading this book. This book I'd been recommended by a former student of mine. Actually, this student of mine he went to Harvard. Uh, let's get that out of the way. And he's an interesting, very literary minded fellow. And he recommended The Friend by Sigrid Nunez when I'd finished a book by For the Love of God. Oh no, it wasn't that book. I was thinking of a different book. A book by an author whom I do not recall right now. Right now I'm actually reading a book with. So at the time, I just finished reading a Kazuo Ishiguro book, and I asked people for recommendations for my next read, and this is one of the recommendations I got. Alina, you completed your SAT. Hey, congratulations! I'm glad you're done, and I hope. It sounds like you already got your score. You took the August. You took the October SAT. It sounds like so. Glad I could help. By the way, Louis, like, is that like a German last name? I don't really know how to process that last name. Like, is that Germanic? Anyway, my friend now, former student friend, he suggested this book, and I read the sample that day. I read the Kindle sample right away because whenever I ask people for recommendations, I download the samples immediately because that way I don't have to remember what people recommended me. And this one I read immediately, but I don't know. I just didn't really feel it. Yesterday I tried to sleep and I couldn't because I had too much coffee. So I was in bed at 11, but still at like 1:30 I was still awake. So I was like, dude, I just need to read. So I read. And I read like a whole quarter of this book because it was so good. I don't know, something just sort of clicked yesterday, where where a couple like half a year ago when I first read the sample it didn't click, and now I'm reading it. Olivia, what's up? By the way, Olivia, I asked you a question last time you jumped in, but just want to restate my question. Uh, are you the Olivia that I know, or are you some other Olivia that I do not know? Ugh, I I am quite exhausted. Now, there is one thing I want to like. I already read the first quarter of this book, but there is one thing I want to sort of confirm. I want to know what got everyone so excited about this book in the first place. Now, I like the book so far, so it's not like I don't already have a thing going. Um, Meditation. So one thing I will say is something that kind of turned me off of this book initially was that it's very New Yorky. Like it's so Brooklyn, it's just so Brooklyn that I just wasn't interested in how Brooklyn it was, but I kind of I got swayed, despite the Brooklynness of this novel. I want to know what people were saying though about it. Well, I can't zoom. My fingers don't work. Okay. Praise the depiction of the. Okay. The narrator and the dog, I still don't have a full. I haven't gotten into the throat of it yet. Potentially mawkish story, which is true, into a penetrating moving meditation on loss, comfort, memory, what it means to be a writer. All in a taut 200 pages. Olivia here, continuing to evade the yes or no question. All right, Olivia, I'm going to assume you are the Olivia that I know. That's not very informative, but seems like I guess I could read the NPR review. Let's go read the NPR review. What's I want to see what got people so excited. She does have a lot to write about literature. She lived with Susan Sontag for a bit. Huh. Joan Didion. It definitely is a writing professor's novel, which is interesting. Oh, Olivia, I guess you're not the same Olivia that I know. I have no idea what you're saying, though. I don't know what you're. What are you saying? I don't really love this that observation. Well, it's a meditation according to people. All right, forget the professional reviews. Let's see what the Goodreads kids have to say about this. Although it's interesting because this is like literary, huh, fiction written by women, and I'm just noticing how it's all like connected. I'm kind of curious about the gender divide. I do find that naturally I gravitate more towards male writers. Maybe I've just been trained into it, whatever. But that's just a fact, as of now, I gravitate towards male writers, and I wonder why. I wonder what the like at a sociological level. I wonder what the trends are, what the patterns are. The mourning, the loss, the love, the pain. The density of experience, like a memoir, like a letter, like an attempt, like an essay. Yeah, the fact that writing and the writing life is such a strong focus, yeah, it's definitely a writer's book. Moments without reading something complete. Okay, that's interesting. So maybe it's good to see where the completeness is. I love the dog, but anything besides the dog kind of sucked. Okay, somebody that really loves it. All right. Well, I think I got the sense. It's hard for me to explain, but it's something like loss and mourning, and it's like an essay almost, an essay and a meditation, and that's kind of the vibe that everyone gets from this book, which I'm down with. Let's read. Uh, all right, here we go. More and more homeless people have pets. That's an interesting thing. Asser place. I do think it helps to enjoy this book if you actually have been in New York. It's very much a New York writer's book. I wonder how much you can enjoy it without having been to New York. I'm sure it's not impossible. I'm not saying that, but I think it helps a lot. I'm laying hand. Oh, a suicide. Wow. Okay. Very fragmented, kind of poetic-ish, like prose poem, like prose poetry-ish. A man in her 30s? Okay. It's a very angry sounding set of notes. Writing is for messed up people. Who else would I? Wait, this chapter in particular is very fragmentary, very like notes on writing scattered. Hang on, let me remind myself what this. Okay. I do think, though, that's an interesting question. Does the effectiveness of catharsis depend on the quality of the writing? And I assume not. Well, not one to one. You can have cathartic moments with pretty okay writing, just not like amazing writing. But amazing writing can produce a certain kind of catharsis that's different. It feels different. It's a different kind of aesthetic experience. So catharsis is just like it's like a standard of good, but it's not necessarily great. And it's not the only standard of good either. When a writer is born into a family, the family is finished, which feels true, by the way. I never heard this. I've not been very writerly in my life, if in the last like 5 years of life. So it's hard to really say, you know. Classic music versus pop music. Oh, we're talking about catharsis. Hang on. I do catharsis. I'm just thinking about pop music and catharsis. Is there a catharsis in pop music? I guess there could be, like, I'm breaking up with you and I still love you. And I could find that cathartic. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense to me. you know? And yeah, so it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't have quite the same quality. So yeah, you can have cathartic moments with just okay. I think formally there has to be some technical mastery for you to produce catharsis through some sort of work of writing or of art, but so you have to actually have some competence to be able to produce any sort of cathartic experience for somebody. But after that bare minimum, you then need to then the world opens up. Now there's like so many types of catharsis you can have. Uh, you know, Catharsis that kind of touches on moral conflicts internally. Catharsis that touches on, it's kind of aesthetically a little dense. There's like a lot of things going on. Or catharsis that just really that kind of releases a pent up emotion about somebody that you miss. So there's different kinds. This is coming from a guy that cries a lot. Toni Morrison's position seems really hard to hold up as a writer. It sounds kind of insane. Yeah, so this part of I can see why a lot of people would turn away from the book at this point, because up until this point it was still pretty narrative driven, but right now it's very not narrative driven. Right now it's very just meditation on writing and writers, like sort of fragmentary notes on writing and writers, really. Not even meditation, nothing sustained. It's more just like barks, like we're barking at it. That's kind of funny. Was Freud even a real person? It's actually kind of funny. Okay, for me it's dragging. I feel it's dragging. For victims of human trafficking. Okay, that's interesting. This part of the story reminds me of the review where the like one sentence review that said, "I like the parts where Apollo the dog came out," which is actually like. That one sentence review has some emotional resonance for me right now. We'll see though what happens here, because I think there's potential in this situation, in this setting. We're doing community service, teaching writing for victims of human trafficking. It's because a person has a sense of humor that we feel we can trust them. This book though does feel like a nice little like it helps me to it's like it does all the research for me, all the research of little bits of writer wisdom, and just compiles it into one book. um yeah, I think I might have to peace out, Alina. Well, this sort of idea for me isn't it's sort of common, I guess. She believes that writing saves her life. About writing as self help, you were always skeptical. You liked O'Connor. Hmm. Singing Dancing Bees. You elitist. So one reason this story is hard is because it keeps hinging on the second person you. You know, um, this whole thing is addressed in the second person to you, to the guy that she kind of loved that killed himself. Ah, oh, dude, I need to open the window. I can't. And that makes for a harder narrative, you know? This guy, this you has already died, right? So there's nothing he can do in the narrative. Uh, anytime there's a sentence about the you, it's just the narrator addressing the you and expressing some sort of thought or maybe conveying some sort of memory, you know, that doesn't advance the narrative in any direct way. So that makes it makes the reading pretty hard. This is a writer's book. Okay, but this is feeling a lot like research at this point. Research that I wasn't even particularly interested in. Garrison Keeler. Lots of. I know that won't be easy for you, but these women have enough problems with self esteem. Please don't focus on their grammatical errors. Which, you know, I think that's valid. uh, huh. It's kind of an interesting. I don't think I read a lot of I don't think I've read any Adrian Rich. Like I think well, potentially, probably not zero. I probably like incidentally read Adrian Rich. I don't remember any of it. I'm not even sure I'm saying her name correctly. All right. Ugh. Psychosomatic is a word that I've seen multiple times, and I'm trying to. Yes, okay. There's a weird tonal thing going on. On the one hand, we're hearing the narrative of a Lilia and an Andre, and it's human, you know, it's a human narrative, and I feel connected, and I feel connected, and oh my God, I just saw this sentence over here. At the same time, it's a narrative within this narrative that's refusing to be to tell any concrete, like any narrative, and so it's like, why is this story coming out? And that's sort of the thought that's in my head that's driving me forward. It's a very cerebral experience so far. This chapter for sure. Take her unders. Andre. Ah. Dude, that's intense. Ah, that is so intense. Alone. It was a weekday afternoon. He thinks that those who are without such belief should do. A little bit of creeping atheism there. So what's weird about this is we started this whole chapter developing this idea of writers being these like wretches, um, not nice, wicked people being writers. And right now, we're talking about the real world, and I think the narrator is conscious of the sort of divide between these intellectuals bloviating and people in the real world, and this volunteer experience is that bridge there for her. Um, it's complicated. I think I like this part. I think I like this part of the book, but it's definitely it's hitting in a different way than previous parts of this book. You know what I mean? So very it's hard to explain what to appreciate about this other than the self-awareness of the narrator. Like, I don't know how to explain that. Tis I, Nerd Saw Lee. Uh, the prosperous, this is harder to accept. Huh. This is interesting. It's a very interesting and kind of painful sentence, because this is weirdly indirectly criticizing the you, the womanizing. I'm not sure that the narrator is fully committing to this right now, but the narrator is mentioning this self consciously in a like a book that's kind of like about the you, and the you is a depraved, sexually sort of licentious, privileged member of the prosperous New York elite. But of course he didn't rape. Or did he? Right? It's like, maybe that's where we're getting at. I don't know. Damn. That's it's crazy to think about. Just stop the maniacal right and start. I don't know why that's funny. It's actually I don't know how to explain why this is funny. But it's kind of funny. It's like crazy weirdo writers. Read it as the depraved sinners can understand true sin of what they are condemning. Yeah, I guess I'm sort of like beyond that point. Uh, I don't have the mental bandwidth to comment, but sure, I'll take that. One thing I'm just a quick meta comment. One thing I'm noticing is, um, Matt, you're like reading as I'm reading, which is a little insane to me. Because these, or it's a little unexpected. Because I would imagine it's actually really hard to read along, since I am also kind of choosing to like go up like and down as as I jump around to look for leads in sort of like the thread of my curiosity. And I would imagine it's like forbiddingly difficult to actually read the book as I'm reading the book. But are you successfully doing that? Like what's going on there? That sounds kind of crazy. What's going on? I lost track of Lorette. She too. Wait, who's she too? Who is she too? And who is Lorette? I lost track of. I'm assuming Lorette's the friend. Yeah? No, Lorette is the sex trafficked girl who wrote a story. Okay. Who had previously, a couple months ago, um, who had previously a couple months ago had begun writing, and you have very visual memory, so you can look at the. That's actually insane. What that is like? That is insane. I don't know. I do not. I cannot even imagine like that like working. But okay, because I'm like flabbergasted that you could read along with me. A dry squeak. So this okay. She was placed in care. The grandmother sold her to men. Dude, what the hell? Ugh. Ugh. She would. She thought it would sound. Oh, dude. Which is weird about the unreality of reality, sometimes. Like, that's the weird thing about fiction, I guess, sometimes, right? Sometimes the real thing, the real deal, feels more fake because of the conventions of the genre of fiction and the buildup of the way that people have been writing about things. So it kind of resists the way that people expect things to happen if you just say what really happened. But like, why are we like? The question is, why is this chapter exploring this idea, right? This. But I think it has to be a foil. I mean, what it is we're talking about like people who were trafficked in sexual slavery, and we're contrasting these people's experience to the you of the story, who is this womanizing writer guy, this who has passed away, and that this narrator is kind of used to kind of be in love with. And this keeps going. It keeps going. My ass is international. My ass is not France. It's easier than teaching, she said, which is kind of funny. Uh, and, in a twisted way. You and your general say pitch to edit. Her and the work she did, you pitched the idea to an editor. You have to have soon. I had a contract and a deadline. Oh, so this is actually back in the narrator's past, and actually the you had helped the narrator to get to land a book contract. I guess I kind of lost track of the time framing. I didn't realize it was in the past. Now we're talking about a girl, a friend who was successful and then switched over to being a Buddhist. And now we're coming back to the narrator herself, a prayer, and now the doubts about being a writer. I don't think I finished that sentence earlier. Who on earth becomes a writer for the money? I mean, yeah. So I get the sense of a very incestuous, like, a writing community, and I remember thinking this would bother some. Like the writing community in Brooklyn in particular being very incestuous and very just very like small is what how it feels. Uh, it might as well have been God, which is kind of an interesting, funny line. Wait, I have a minor doubt because I was kind of I was zipping through. Is this is the I right now the actual narrator, or is the I the friend that became a Buddhist? I kind of rushed through that. No, it seems like it's so long that it must be the narrator. Nope, nope. This is the friend. This is the friend. Okay. I just know I'm much happier doing what I'm doing now than I would ever be doing what you're doing. So, the writing, the twisted relationship with this narrator and the writing, and then this whole thing with this sexual violence, this very disturbing moment, and like, what's going on, you know? And now we're going into the writing workshop itself. Okay. Write about an object, smoking, a knife, doll, one doll. That was all. And the writing workshop was not like successful on writerly terms. Wait, this reminds me of something that came out on almost the first page. So let me go and remind myself. Wait, so this is literally the same thing that, word for word, the same thing that came out at the very beginning of the book. So our memory is becoming fragmented now. Okay, now we're getting into like difficult literature territory, which I was not expecting. I actually thought The Friend, a sweet little book about a woman who kind of loved this guy. This guy killed himself, had a dog, and now this dog is in the woman's care. And the woman is going to think about this, is going to develop a relationship with the dog, and and through this relationship come to a moment of catharsis. Like, I thought it was going to be a pretty straightforward. I did not realize this is going to be a quote unquote hard literature. I thought this is supposed to be like, like beachside reading. So this, I'm a little surprised by what happened there, honestly. Part three, I just read part three, which is not chapter three, it's part three. Part three was kind of the hard chapter, okay? Now my expectations for this book is now completely opened up. I have no idea what's going to proceed. So I guess that was successful on its own terms, it kind of pulled me, the reader, out of a certain like a pigeonhole, now I don't know where we're going. Now I have to be on my toes, and I have to see what's happening next. That was part three of The Friend, and it's 10 p.m. now for me. So I've been reading this for like an hour ish, right? I'll probably go and catch some Z's. Thanks, guys, if you're actually like listening and following along. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace.